What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Father Son Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Paul.
My name is Justin, and today we are joined by Ahmad. What's going on, Ahmad?
What's up,
Hello.
Ahmad?
Hey, it's good to hang out with you guys finally.
All
Yeah,
right, it's good. We're glad you're on.
yeah. So for guys who don't know, we're a relatively new podcast. Last year's our first year, and Ahmad was always the guy reaching out to us and I guess giving us feedback on Twitter and whatnot, and responding to us and just interacting with us. So Ahmad, where can they find you on Twitter? First off.
Well, my Twitter handle is Lamont87. That's at LAM 0NT87, and I'm there all the time. That's the one social media site where I'm most active on, and yeah, I'm primarily just sports and jokes and stuff.
Yeah, and that's what we like to see. I'll have that link in the description below, so make sure you guys go check him out there. Give him a follow. He's always on Twitter. I see that. And last night you went to the Clippers game. How was that?
Oh, nice.
I've been going to a lot of Clipper games lately because they have such an incredible home schedule with a lot of playoff contending teams. So I went to I like past couple weeks I've seen them play against the Blazers, the Celtics, the Nets. I'm maybe another team I can't remember off the top of my head, and they've been on a roll. But last night they got demolished. James Harden is James Harden, and I got to see that. Like he's like it's like watching him in fast forward motion, and just he does everything. I think he scored 29 points last night. And I left after the third quarter because they lost by over 30 points. It was
Wow.
pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, no. So, hey, playoff time for basketball's about to start. Playoff time for hockey's about to start, and the NFL draft's in like 20 days. So,
That's nice that you live close to a stadium like that and you can go check them out.
Oh yeah, it's about 30 minutes away.
That's nice.
Yeah, must be
That's
nice.
good.
Lucky.
Oh, and also with StubHub, I completely forgot what they renamed it. That's about 20 minutes away from where I live. So I went to about 4 Charger games this past season, and then 4 other Charger games the season before that. It's wonderful to have like your favorite team,
That
like
close
not
by.
that far away.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden. That's about 3 hours away for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's not too far, but it's far enough you can't go to a lot of them.
Have you guys gone to any Giants games recently, by any chance?
Recently,
Knicks games?
no. Knicks games we went, I think, 2 years ago, and then Giants games we went. I'd say it's been 2 years right there. I don't know, but
Yeah,
hey, I will never
haven't
go
been
to
in a
another
couple
Giants
years.
game again. You won't
Come
see me.
on.
This year, I may go see the Vikings.
Okay.
The Vikings, I got to see Diggs. I'll get to see Diggs play against the Giants, and then I think the Jets play the Browns. So my new fandom, the Browns. It's a great day. No, it's a great day to be a Browns fan. Just ask me.
You're,
It's a great
you're
day.
jumping on that bandwagon.
It's okay. It's a great day to be a Browns fan. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
You're not even watching football with me this year. Stay at college.
I'll stay at college.
Don't
I'll watch
even
all the
come
Browns
back.
games. I'll buy Browns season passes. Okay.
Oh man.
Justin is an Odell truther, and I like to see that. Odell, I don't know. He's been under so much scrutiny and criticized in his career. I don't think he deserved it.
No.
But it's gonna be interesting to see him, be almost like restart his career after all the injuries and all the downsides that he's been having to deal with lately.
Yeah. So Gettleman moved Odell, and he also moved me. I am on the Browns now, basically, and you get to see Odell with a young, upcoming quarterback in Baker Mayfield, who was taken in the first overall pick last year in drafts. And guess what? Draft time's right around the corner, Dad. So I'm not even gonna play the transition music. We're gonna get right into it. We're gonna talk quarterbacks and running backs for this upcoming draft. We're not gonna go into all of them. We're gonna go to the top prospects right now because landing spot matters a lot for rookies, especially. So I'm not gonna just go into detail about every single guy. We're gonna give you like the brief overview, and some guys we're gonna go into more detail than others, depending on who we like and whatnot. And yeah, quarterbacks, running backs today. So, Dad, you were talking about it before we started the show today. Who's the quarterback that's probably gonna go number 1 overall to the Arizona Cardinals?
Oh, it's got to be Kyler Murray. Why they would give up on their quarterback now when they just drafted him last year and get another quarterback is kind of crazy, but I think that's where they're headed. I mean, after the combine, he's the favorite to go number 1. Obviously, number 1 overall. I like him. I mean, he's a Russell Wilson type quarterback. He has good playmaking skills. He's 5'10". The offense will have to be played around him, so they're gonna have to change up a few things to make him succeed there, especially if he's their quarterback going forward. He'll probably play mostly out of the shotgun because of his size. He only had one season as a starting quarterback at Oklahoma where he completed 69% of his passes. I mean, he had a decent year. I think he threw for like 4,400 yards. He had 42 touchdowns. And
And
I want to
Heisman.
say, yeah, and I want to say 7 or 8 interceptions. So
Yeah, he only had 7 interceptions and 42 passing touchdowns. So that's what the touchdown to interception ratio right there is 6-1 last season, and that is extremely impressive.
yeah.
Yeah, so what do you guys say about Kyler Murray? What do you like about him? What don't you like about him? I'll go last.
Well, I played college fantasy football last year, and that's how I kind of got into college football. I mean, I haven't really been the college fan, so I'm a fan of defense, and I just there's not too much defense like it's shown out in college, so I just finally like decided to like put in my fandom for college this recently, and Kyler was literally the most efficient quarterback I've ever seen stat-wise. They call him the little freak of nature. So yeah, he played 14 games last year, 377 passing attempts, 260 completions, 4,361 passing yards, and then the 42 touchdowns. And when it comes to rushing, he had 140 rushing attempts for 1,001 rushing yards and 12 rushing touchdowns. That's running back numbers. And the one thing that stood out the most to me is that when I looked up the average yards per carry, and Kyler Murray was 8th in the FBS last year with 7.2 yards per carry, and he ran the ball at least 10 times in 8 games. So he was doing everything, every single thing you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, this dude is a freak of nature, like you said, and I don't even have to say any more stats. All I gotta say is the offensive line we're talking about matters a lot, and if he does go to the Cardinals, that's a big concern for me. But if he's in the shotgun, he needs to take like one step and he's already in full speed and he's gone. Like I don't know. Like he's just it's crazy. I don't like some of the highlights touchdown runs he has is better than almost any running back in this draft class. Almost highlights. Like you can compare it to like some of them, not all of them. But
And they're like for like 30, 40 yards at least.
yeah, they're all. It's not like short touchdown runs. He's evading. He's got vision because he's a quarterback, so you'd hope he had a vision, and he's fast. And yeah, I don't know. If he's on the Cardinals, I would like to think he could be a top 20 quarterback in fantasy. So more on the outlook of like 2 quarterback leagues, and in Superflex Dynasty drafts, he's gonna be the 101. I think every time.
Wow. I didn't even think about Dynasty. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's gonna help David Johnson out if he goes to the Cardinals. Like I said, just because rushing quarterbacks, just another thing you got to worry about. So I'm excited to see Kyler Murray in the NFL. The 2 steps to full acceleration thing is just crazy. When I was a Giants fan, not anymore, about a couple months ago, I was looking at it and I was like, I hope he declares for the NFL draft and does not do baseball so the Giants can get him at 6. And that hype's way blown, but I think he'd be better around the Giants because of Odell, but, he's not there anymore. And he would help Barkley out a lot and doesn't really need an O-line to, I guess, do well, but an O-line will certainly help any quarterback, especially rookie quarterbacks. But the rushing numbers are going to be what I want to see, and literally 2 steps, he's already in full acceleration. I've never seen anyone get up to full speed like that fast before.
Yeah, that's the thing. He looks like a return specialist when he's running the ball. He's just so fast, and you got to think about it. There's defensive linemen out there and linebackers, and he's just twice as faster than them. At least 5 or 6 defenders on the field, so where he could just zip right by them. And so the number one thing that I like most about Kyler Murray is his footwork. So he never stops moving his feet, and they're rarely ever planted, and he's constantly bouncing back and forth from one foot to another as if he's running in place. And this helps him scan the field. And there's only one other player that his footwork reminds me of, and that's Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning never stopped moving his feet. Just always bouncing back and forth. It was insane. And that always helped him like scan the field, and the footwork throws defenders off, and it makes the passer look way less predictable because they're not still like a statue. It also gave Kyler that step he needs that you were talking about for whenever he wanted to take off. So yeah, he's got something special. I would love to see them protect him because he is a franchise player. I do not want to see him go down the block with Griffin.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see him get injured too. That's the one thing that would prevent him. And one last thing I would say, I didn't even touch on the throwing thing, but if you watch like little Kyler Murray highlights or even the game tape, that ball just zips right out of his hand too, because he is a baseball player like by heart also. So like that, I don't know. I feel like he has a good franchise quarterback, like you said, and he has a long career in the NFL if he doesn't get hurt. Rushing will probably hurt that, but I think he'll have a good career. And Dad.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, the team's going to have to build their team around him.
Yeah.
And that's what the Cardinals, if they're going to get rid of their QB now, that's what they're going to have to do to make him succeed.
So Rosen could go to the Giants, you're saying, but at 6, you said the Giants can look at Dwayne Haskins. So you can kick off with Dwayne Haskins, and what do you think about him?
I mean, I think he's going to follow the Giants.
From Ohio State, I'll say.
Yeah. The Giants are in need of a quarterback. We know that. And if Haskins goes there, he's going to start out on the bench. And if Eli struggles later on, you might see him if they take him. So I think he has the ability to be a good quarterback. He has to become a little more consistent, especially on his decision making. He doesn't do too good of a job with that, but he's got a strong arm and the potential to be a good pocket passer. Some say he should have returned to Ohio State to improve on his overall game before the NFL. But hey, if you think you're ready to make the move, make it, because he's going to go in the top 10. So, I mean, and I think the Giants are going to take him. They got to take a quarterback.
You hope the Giants take him. I saw a report a couple of weeks ago. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, saying that the Giants believe, well, Gettleman, I'll say, that Eli can play in 2020.
There's no way.
Hey,
he can't even move. Look at him.
This is your franchise, bro.
He doesn't. I don't think he throws the ball downfield anymore, too. It's just throwing the ball to Saquon. I think they're just blowing smoke, and they just don't want. They're just trying to save as much time as possible before they actually make a decision. Because I don't know, Eli is a 2-time champion, and he's the face of that franchise. So they just don't want to disgrace him or embarrass him. That one time when they benched him a couple
that's what I was going to say. They already did that when they benched him.
Such a big deal, and it was all over media and stuff. So I just don't think that they just don't want to deal with that kind of stuff again.
Yeah. He's way past his time. He's already done what he had to do for the franchise. He won 2 Super Bowls. I don't know why they're holding on to him. And the smart, logical thing for the Giants to do would be trade like their 2nd-round pick for Rosen and then take different people, I think, just that. But that sounds way too logical for the Giants to do, so I don't think that's going to happen. But what do you got to say about Dwayne Haskins, Ahmad?
Okay, so this is what I got for Dwayne. Brief look at his 2018 stats. He played 14 games, 533 attempts, 373 completions. So what stood out was his 70% completion rating, 4,831 passing yards, and 50 passing touchdowns. And what's crazy is that he only threw 8 picks last season. But this is the thing. He's not a runner, and he rarely scrambles. He only had 79 rushing attempts for 108 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. And he's primarily a shotgun passer, so I just don't think that he's going to move around that well. But he seems to like to set himself up for a pass instead of get creative. So he plants his feet with like very little footwork. And I feel like he needs to work in a system where he can throw a lot of flat routes and short routes in order to succeed. He throws a lot of passes that are near or behind the scrimmage line. I checked out his game when he, I believe it was against Purdue, because he had 49 completions and 73 attempts. And I had to look that up. I was like, how is that even possible? And it was just a lot of flat passes and stuff. So, if he goes against defenses that have above average like defensive backs, he might have a lot of trouble because like they'll be able to figure him out quickly. And if you kind of look at his highlights, his deep passes and touchdowns, they look incredible. But a big part of that success came from the separation that his receivers gained from their defenders. So, I kind of like dug deep into him, and I found some things that I liked, but then I also think that he's more of like a dink and dunker type quarterback,
Yeah, I saw that too. I was looking at it, and like this quarterback class isn't that great. I feel like Justin Herbert, once he said he's going to stay for Oregon for another year, it just kind of declined. So next year you got the Tua tank off. You're going to have Herbert probably enter. And I'm not sure if Lawrence is available to enter. I think he has to wait another year, but since he played as a freshman, maybe he can enter. So like maybe that's why the Giants are like having reports they don't want to take him. But yeah, definitely not fast. You're in a 5.0440, I think, and that's not that fast at all. But people will look at him and pull like the Mike Vick, since he's an African American quarterback, he can run the ball. But he's not. He's a pocket passer who needs time to throw, I think. That's why I don't think he's going to be a good fit for the Giants. But if he does learn behind Eli, you could probably learn a thing or two behind him of how to just fall down without getting hit, But I don't know. They got Kevin Zeiler, so.
I kind of want to ask you guys a question, though. It's because this has been bothering me for a long time. Okay, so quarterback. I mean, teams that don't have a franchise quarterback, they always feel pressure to draft a quarterback. They feel pressure to sometimes even tank in order to get the high draft pick and get in a quarterback right away that they think that's going to succeed for them. Do you think that's smart? Because we've seen it fail so many times in the past 10, 15 years. So we've seen Jamarcus Russell, I think Brady Quinn, Matt Stafford hasn't been that great. Mark Sanchez, Freeman. I think I can't remember who drafted him.
The Buccaneers, I think, right? Yeah.
Sam Bradford was number one. Tim Tebow, Jake Locker, Gabbert, Ponder, RG3, Tannehill, Whedon, EJ Manuel, Blake Bortles. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, even we're seeing it with Marcus Mariota right now.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like now that it's happening, like you find Dak Prescott later in drafts, you found Russell Wilson later in drafts. Tom Brady you're not gonna find our Tom Brady again.
No,
but all these like
he was in the
hidden gems,
round.
these third round quarterbacks that are good. So I feel like that just depends on the scouting department because you could have a head scout on your team and whatnot say, oh, I like this quarterback coming out next year. We're not that good of a team. Why not just tank? But it's slim chance, and like with any rookie pick, you're taking a chance. You just gotta hope it lays out, and it's tough to gauge like, oh, should you tank for just quarterback or whatnot. It looks like Cleveland finally got it right after like 20 tries with Baker.
You know, it's a tough. It's a tough thing to predict because you don't know how they're going to do in the NFL is a lot faster game than college.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to say. Like you said, Brady went in the fourth round. Look how great he was. So you just got to try to find someone. And
he was a gem.
I don't know. I mean, look at it in the NBA also. The Knicks are tanking in the NBA just to get.
All right, well, Zion's not going to bust, but
but the Knicks did tank so they can get him in the draft. So they're going to take a shot on him.
Basketball is different in that sense, though.
I'm just making a point.
Tanking happens. I feel like NFL is harder to tank successfully.
Yeah,
I'll say that way. But yeah, I mean Haskins. I'll say one thing about Haskins that I liked a lot is his fourth quarter stats. So he was 74 of 104, and he had 71.2% completion rate, 1,034 yards, and 14 touchdowns and 1 interception. So I feel like when facing adversity late in games, he has that clutch gene, and that doesn't happen to everyone. So that's the one thing I think that he has that could stick with him, and that's a good trait to have for an NFL quarterback. And he's one of the most poised passers when he has time in the pocket and can make some tough throws, and he's got an accurate deep ball too. So I like Haskins. I'm not like off on him or whatever.
Yeah, he seems to have the concentration, when he's in the pocket and stuff. Like I see the vision, and I think he can do good. It's just that I would like to see him be maybe more mobile,
Yeah, hopefully work on his agility a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, next quarterback we're going to do is Drew Lock out of Missouri. Dad, I'll let you start first. We got 3 more quarterbacks to go. We're going to go Lock, Jones, then Greer, and then we're going to go with running back. So what do you got for Lock?
I like it. I like him. I mean, he's got great confidence. He played very well at the Senior Bowl. They were impressed how quickly he picked things up. They picked up the pro concepts faster than the other quarterbacks. Last year in college, he completed 61% of his passes. He's a good athlete and has a rifle arm. They compare him kind of to Jay Cutler, with a personality similar to Eli, if that makes any sense. So he's a gun, like I said, he's a gunslinger style QB with a big arm, and he can throw any pass.
Yeah, that's a good overview of Drew Lock. We'll see where he goes. Landing spot matters. What do you guys think about him, Ahmad?
I didn't really get to research too much on him. I did watch quite a bit of his games because I had a tight end in college fantasy football, Albert O. He's got a difficult last name to pronounce, but I watched quite a few Mizzou games, but last season. But according to PFF, I looked him up on PFF on YouTube, and they said that he has the complete inventory of passes. And when I watched his film highlights, his throws look effortless, like he just like with the flick of a wrist, and I like that. I really think that to have arm strength like that is really important. Almost kind of reminded me of Ben Roethlisberger. But last year he played 13 games, 437 attempts, 275 completions, about 3,500 passing yards, and 28 passing touchdowns. So he didn't get as many passing touchdowns as Kyler, Haskins, or anything like that. But he seems to. I think he's an NFL caliber. and he ran about like not much of a runner. He runs about 4 to 5 times per game. Last year he ran about 4 to 5 times, and but he also had some legit receivers last year, so it made his job look easier. And the one weakness that I did see though, and I looked it up and I saw it on film, is that he's extremely inaccurate when throwing off his back foot, and he's a bit of a poor passer while he's on the run. But besides that, like I think he can probably work on it, And but the arm is just incredible.
I think he had 6 rushing touchdowns also.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
So he is a little bit mobile. He's not very mobile, but he did have 6 touchdowns. From where they were, I don't know, but
well, since he's running 4 to 5 times per game, that just shows that he's willing and able to run. So yeah, that's a good thing too. And he looks like I couldn't I didn't look too much film, but he looked like a big guy. Hard to take down, maybe like a Ben Roethlisberger or something. So yeah.
Yeah, you got a 4.69 40, so he's not slow by any means. That's 83rd percentile. Young breakout age, and he had 45 starts throughout his college career, which is the most out of anyone in this class. You had Haskins start only 13 games, and then Murray started at 14, so 3 times as much games as them. He has that much more experience. And the decision making is the only thing I worry about. And he's just kind of like just mad at me. Although the arm talent is there, like Ahmad said, like just flick at the wrist and the ball's gone like 50 yards down the field. So he has that. Just landing spot matters because that back foot thing, if he has a bad O line, he's just not going to succeed right away. But rookie quarterbacks don't usually succeed first year, so it takes some time.
Yeah.
Next guy I want to go to, Daniel Jones. Dad, what do you got to say about him from Duke?
no, the scouts were impressed with him also with his arm at the Senior Bowl. He has a strong arm and good accuracy. He's has a good pocket presence. He keeps his eyes downfield, and he's a guy who can buy time with his legs also. But the pro game, like I just said, is going to be a lot faster. So he has a long delivery. I think he's going to have to shorten up his delivery a little bit. But over time, I think he'll get better and better.
Yeah. What do you got to say about him, Ahmad?
I actually don't know too much about him, so you guys got to kind of fill me in.
So basically, like the whole thing is like people are saying he could be a first-round pick now to the Giants at 17, and I feel like the reason why is because he's a 6'5" white QB who can throw hard, and that's just the facts it is. He doesn't really impress me that much. He's accurate, but end of the day, he's a 6'5" white quarterback who like the stereotypes are in the NFL. So, I mean, I feel like he can be good, but I feel like he's below average in this class. I like him more than Locke, I think, but it's tough to say this early on and stuff.
If the Giants don't get Haskins at number 6, they have to take a quarterback at 17.
Him at 17, not wait till like next round. You want to take Daniel Jones at 17? I wouldn't waste that pick. I'd take an offensive lineman.
Well, we'll have to
Giants
see
are
who
not
they
logical,
pick.
so I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, last quarterback I want to talk about is Will Grier from West.
You're not a Giant fan anymore anyway, so
I'm
don't
not.
worry about it.
I'm glad I'm not. It's a great day to be a Browns fan. Just ask me.
Traitor.
All right, Dad. What do you guys say about Will Grier? You have anything on Will Grier from West Virginia?
Here's a guy. His arm strength is just average. He had a hard time with his feet because he can't set his feet. So I don't really know much about him. At the Senior Bowl, his lack of arm was pretty obvious from what the scouts were saying. So, I mean, he did complete 67% of his passes last year. So that's all I know about him. They just say he's got a problem with his feet, setting his feet and throwing.
Yeah, you have anything on him, Ahmad?
Not really. I'm looking at some stuff up right now. Let's see. 37 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. That's pretty eye-popping right there. 3,864 passing yards. Yep, that's really acceptable. Let's see. I try to look at floors. I look at game log, and I try to look at floors because that's, that shows consistency. So let's see. He had 9 games where he had at least 21 completions. He had, oh wow, he had 10 out of 11 games with at least 332 passing yards. So he can, oh yeah, he can get those yards for sure. Multiple touchdowns in 10 out of 11 games, at least 3 touchdowns in 9 out of the 11 games. And yeah, he doesn't really throw interceptions. So yeah, these numbers are pretty dang nice,
Yeah, so the one thing I'll say, he's the best at big-time throws in his class. He's 4th in yards per attempt, but that's always good. And he's not good under pressure at all, but he's good in the clean pocket. So landing spot matters for that. And we'll see where he goes in the draft, and we'll touch on him whenever he goes somewhere. So
the draft starts Thursday, April 25th.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it's an all weekend thing. So it's only a few weeks away.
Yeah, we're excited for that. Running backs now is not as good
Wait,
as last year's.
can I just say one thing, one or two things about Kyler Murray because these are just so interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna be real quick. So okay, so when he played against Baylor, they benched him in the for the opening drive for disciplinary reasons, and it was a big story. So he only got benched for the opening drive, but he ended up finishing the game. 21 passing attempts, 17 completions, 432 passing yards, and 6 passing touchdowns, 45 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. He went crazy ballistic even after he got disciplined, and it was just like I don't know. That's one of the things that's just he's so special, and he also threw a touchdown for every 6.19 completion. So yeah, I'm almost like convinced I'm the guy to be number one.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Moving on.
All right, running backs. Who is the one guy, Dad, that you looked at and that you liked the most, if you could say, or do you not have a favorite yet?
I don't have a favorite because I don't think you're going to get a running back in the first round.
No first-round running backs probably in this class.
No.
But we'll start with Josh Jacobs from Alabama. So there's a timeshare between Damian Harris and him. We'll do both of those. So touch on Josh Jacobs first. What do you guys say with Josh Jacobs, Dad?
Well, he didn't work out at the combine, but I still think he's the top running back off the board. He's physically gifted running back. He's got good size and he's fast. He was part of a heavy rotation, which kind of hurts him a little bit with two other backs. So he only carried the ball 120 times. He did run for 640 yards. So for being a rotational back for 3 years, he has one thing good about him. He's got very little wear and tear on him.
Yeah. So he only ran the ball 251 times in his college career, and that's the thing I don't know too much about him either because his sample size is so small. But I mean, I keep hearing too much about this guy, how he should be number one running back drafted this year, and the wear and tear. I mean, like if he's healthy, then let him go, But I mean, I like to see at least a solid year of good production, workhorse ability and stuff. But I mean, at least he scored 11 rushing touchdowns last season. So
right, and that's pretty good for being a rotational back. And like we said, less wear and tear, the better for the pro game. No, which is he'll get a shot somewhere.
Yeah, so he's a 3-down running back, and he's not that fast, and that's what people are knocking him for right now on Twitter. Is that he had a 4.69, which is a 22nd percentile for 4-yard dashes, and he doesn't really have much burst, but the pass protection he has is just insane. He can literally chin check anyone, and he's a smooth receiver. The pass game is what people, I think, miss out on him, and that's what he's really talented in. But the reason why he wasn't a full-time back is because of Damian Harris, who was also in the backfield with him, and he had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, 6.6 yards per carry, 22 receptions in 2018, 11 rush touchdowns in 2017. He's got vision. He's got 76th percentile burst score, so basically one cut and go. He doesn't really have much breakaway speed, but he's the reason why Josh Jacobs did not get a full-time workload because he's also talented. That's the thing about this big major school like Alabama is the fact that you have all these talented players, but I feel like Damian Harris arguably is better than Josh Jacobs just because of his vision and his running ability. Josh Jacobs
like you said, he's a good receiver too out of the backfield. Yeah, and they compare him to a Doug Martin.
Yeah, Doug Martin. He also weighs 216 pounds, whereas Jacobs weighs 220. He's about the same height, so maybe more physical runner for Jacobs by the weight measurables. But the burst score, you got Jacobs who was in 23rd percentile, and you got Damian Harris who's 76th percentile. So I like to see burst score because that's that first step go, and I feel like Damian Harris, depending on where he can go, he can be a good satellite back in the NFL. So what do you guys say about him?
You think he's going ahead of Jacobs?
I don't think he's going ahead of Jacobs. I think Jacobs probably be the first running back off the board, unless we're going to talk about a guy later who can possibly go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the second round.
Yeah, Damian Harris seems to have that. He seems to be tried and true. 3 years with at least 135 carries, 200,000 plus yard rushing yard season, 20 touchdowns total in 2017 and 18. So I like what I see there, but he does have a lot more carries than Joshua Jacobs, who seems to be, the hype for everybody right now.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna be the most overrated one. If we're talking dynasty startup rookie, well, not dynasty startup, but rookie drafts in general, I'm staying away from Josh Jacobs just because of the price you're going to probably pay. He's going top 8 consistently, if people are scared about the combine workout measurables, then maybe he slips to the later first round, and depending on the landing spot, I'd take him. But it's tough right now. I saw a tweet today saying in redraft league, best ball leagues, there was 5 rookie running backs taken in the first 10 rounds, and I'm not taking any of these guys in the first 10 rounds.
No way.
Depending
In
on
the first 10 rounds?
depending on landing spot. Like they're probably most of them around the 8 to 10 range, but depending on landing spot, I'm not taking any of these guys. And the next guy I want to go to is David Montgomery out of Iowa State. And before I looked up anything about these running backs and like when college was happening, I was excited for David Montgomery. Looking at it again, I'm not excited at all. He had a below average like 40 time 4.63, didn't really impress me. Burst score was in the 10th percentile. I don't know. I don't see a guy I want to take.
He definitely had speed concerns at the combine.
Yeah. So anything else you got to add on him? I'm not going to talk that much about David Montgomery.
No, I think he could be a rotational option.
Maybe, yeah. There's no real running back studs in this draft class as we're seeing compared to last year. And
well, yeah, I that was one of the last guys I researched as well. He had an awkward style running to me. You know, it wasn't too smooth. He did a lot of shaking and baking. You know, but I mean, his stats career wise, it shows that he's a workhorse. 58 carries in 2017 and 257 in 2018. Double-digit rushing touchdowns both years. He has 0 career receiving touchdowns, but he is a pass catcher. 36 receptions in 2017 and 22 receptions in 2018. He had 15 games with at least 100 rushing yards. 8 of them were in 2017, 7 of them were last season in 2018. And he can handle goal line work exceptionally well. And the one thing that I also looked up, and this is very important, I think, to take note of, is that he had 100 forced missed tackles last year, which was first in the Big 12. And the second place person only had 57 forced missed tackles.
That's a big difference. Big difference.
As many, yeah. So, I mean, if he can break those tackles, I mean, that's a big thing for the NFL.
Yeah, definitely. Missed tackles is a good translator too. Rashad Penny was good in that. He made missed tackles. We don't know what Pete Carroll's doing. And then in rookie drafts this year, if I had like the 102 and it's not Superflex, I would trade the 102 for Rashad Penny. I would try to put offers out there. Just it's also on team needs and stuff. But the running backs in this class, like even Montgomery, he's going late first, early second. And I'm okay with taking him there depending on landing spot. But there's no running backs to jump off. So I would, if you need a running back on your dynasty team, I would trade the early first round picks for Rashad Penny and try to do something.
So Justin, do you prefer dynasty over redraft now?
This time of year, yeah. I just got into dynasty last year. I'm in 4 dynasty leagues right now, and I'm liking it a lot in the off season. But when it comes to like July, August, I'm all redraft mode. But
do you keep all players in your dynasty leagues? I'm not in any dynasty league, so I'm not sure how.
Yeah, so people don't know what dynasty leagues are. It's fantasy football. Like typically, we'll say 26-man rosters, and you do a startup draft, and you draft it all the way through, and you keep every single player. And say you finish in last place, say you're last place in the league, you have the 101, the 201, the 301, and the 401 of the rookie draft, and it's all rookies in the pool and whatnot. And you can.
So you can.
What's up?
You can tank.
Yeah, you can technically tank. I mean, if you want to, if your team's really that bad and you like a guy coming in the next draft class, like say Barkley last year, I would have tanked for Barkley. And you gotta do what you gotta do. And say you came in first, you had the 112, 212, and a 12-team league, and a 312 and 412. So depending on that, you can trade those picks and whatnot. And I'm really liking dynasty because it's like you're your own GM. Like I have one team that has Gurley, Kamara, Juju, Antonio Brown. So I like that. But.
I prefer a redraft.
I
mean, I like the dynasty because me and Jess are in one together, and we picked a team. We got a chance to go in the league, and our team wasn't that good. I don't know why we took it. So our team name is Why Did We Take This Team? But we've made some decent trades even this year in the off season. So we should be a little bit better this year than we were last year.
Yeah, I like starting over, like refresh.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, like it's your own team. You can do whatever you want with it, and it's not just a 1 year, one and done thing. But redraft's really fun because it's a lot of home leagues where you're in with all your friends and stuff like that. So I always like doing that.
Because there's a player that you really like, and you just can't have him. Like someone else has if you really like Antonio Brown, and someone else has Antonio Brown, that's you're never gonna get that guy.
No. Like my love for Diggs, it's like people had him, and I overpaid for him. I have him in 3 out of 4 of my leagues, my dynasty leagues, so I'm okay with that.
Okay.
But like you can pay up for guys. You can like use picks to get like your favorite players and whatnot. So if you got him, like say your favorite player Melvin Gordon, maybe if you got him on one team, you can keep him for the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool. And then I don't have to worry about getting him in redraft and reaching for him and whatnot.
Yeah.
All right. Next running back I want to talk about though for rookies is David Singletary out of Florida Atlantic. I mean, he didn't really impress me that much. He also had a poor combine, 4.6, 640, a little better burst score than Montgomery. And his college dominator rating, though, was 86th percentile, which is on playerprofile.com, and I like to see that. And he can kind of catch passes. He had a 7.7% college target share. For running back, it's not awful, but I'm not too impressed with him. I forget the backup's name for FAU, but I liked his tape, too. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, they say his time at the combine was really poor for an undersized back. But in the past, he did run a 40 in 4.58 seconds. So, but he didn't have a good combine.
Yeah, combine hurts draft stock sometimes.
Yeah.
You have anything on him, Ahmad?
Devin Singletary, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Florida Atlantic guy. I looked at just his like wide body of work. What really popped out, and it's pretty crazy. I don't even know if I'm looking at this right. 22 rushing touchdowns last year, and 32 rushing touchdowns the year before that. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. I gotta check that out and look deeper into those numbers. But yeah, he has a large body of work over 3 years in his college career. 714 rushing attempts, 4,287 rushing yards, and 66 rushing touchdowns. That's an average of 22 rushing touchdowns per season. That's incredible. Oh wow.
Yeah, he did
He's
have
not.
that.
Yeah, I can't believe that. He's not much of a pass catcher, but yeah, he only has 51 career receptions, 7 receiving yards, and one receiving touchdown. But his career yards per carry, which is pretty nice, is 6.0.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the stats just to verify about the touchdowns, and it's true. He scores a lot, so that's crazy. Level of competition difference is probably the biggest thing there, but regardless of your competition, that's a lot of touchdowns.
That might be goal line work. I'm not too sure, but that's right there.
I'll have to look more into that. And then next guy I want to talk about is a guy I like a lot, and he's my second ranked running back in this draft class based off what I looked at, and that's Darrell Henderson from Memphis. So he's a good blocker. He's a good pass catcher. He can run the ball up the middle, and he can take the top off any defense with the speed. He had a 4.49 40 at the combine. That's 80th percentile. You got burst scores, 42nd percentile, not that great, but I mean 71st percentile speed score. He's elite home run hitter. 8.9 yards per carry in both 2017 and 2018. A 33.9% college dominator rating, which is 77th percentile. Singletary had an 86th percentile based off those touchdowns, probably. He also had three seasons of 19 plus receptions, a 7.4% target share for a running back that's really, really good, and 80th percentile BMI. So I like the 5'8", 208. He's a little undersized, but pass protection is the only thing I really worry about. And some may call him an upright runner, but the size doesn't really worry me. I feel like he can add weight, especially at NFL level. He'll probably get up to like 215. And I'm excited to see where he lands.
Yeah, he is an undersized guy. He's pretty fast. So teams that are looking for a speedster might pick him up and use him in a rotation or something. But he did have a fast 40 combine, like you said, at under 4.5. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm watching his highlights right now, and I watched him yesterday. He's just incredibly fast. Once he passes the first level of defenders, he almost kind of looks like Todd Gurley just taking off. It's pretty crazy. He's very fast. A lot of vertical speed. He led Division 1A in yards per carry last year with 8.9 yards per carry, 25 scrimmage touchdowns in 2018, 214 attempts, 1,909 rushing yards, and 22 rushing touchdowns last season. He forced the most missed tackles among AAC running backs last season with 56. And he had so this is cool. He had the most yards after contact per attempt among draft eligible running backs with 6.2 yards per carry, I believe. And those are among running backs with the minimum of 150 attempts. So yeah, he seems pretty amazing. He doesn't seem to have the shake and bake, but he can like break tackles and stuff, and he's serviceable in the pass game. 20 to 25 catches and 2 to 3 receiving touchdowns per year in his college career.
Yeah, no, he looks like to be like that's he's my number 2 right now. I'm excited to see where he lands. I feel like that matters a lot for running backs, especially. So if he lands on a team that has opportunity for him to take the starting share, I'm gonna keep a lookout for him during training camps and preseason week 2, week 3. All right, next running back I want to talk about is my running back one, and a lot of people's running back ones now on Twitter at least, and that's Miles Sanders out of Penn State. He's
Fine.
he's athletic, he's quick, he's agile, and he's got speed. And once he finally got his opportunity, he ran for 1,274 yards and 9 touchdowns with 24 receptions in 2018. I think he's the most well-rounded running back in this class. He's got a good burst score. He's got a good 40 time of 4.49, just like Darrell Henderson. And these two guys are the best non-SEC runners in this class. And it's I mean, between Henderson and Sanders, I don't know who I like more. Landing spot's going to be the big differential, and he's 5'11" and 211 pounds. So I like to see that. And what do you have on Miles Sanders? I think the Buccaneers should take him in the second round. So if he lands on the Bucs, then I'm going to probably take him in the top 10 rounds. But we'll see.
Oh yeah, you're right. That would be perfect for him.
Yeah, all I got on him is he did have a strong combine and he's very fast.
Yeah, that's important.
So Saquon's backup for a couple years, and that's why he didn't get to shine.
Yeah, because he's behind Saquon, so he got to learn behind Saquon as a, that's something that most running backs can't say. And I think Saquon has a chance to want to be one of the greatest running backs of all time, if not the greatest running back of all time.
Yeah, so I looked up some stuff or was listening to some podcasts about him, and people said that he tries to imitate Saquon just a bit too much. Yeah, but I mean, like you can't blame him if he was his backup for a couple years. But when you look at his film, he kind of looks like Saquon mixed with a little bit of David Johnson. It's pretty gnarly, you know. So his 40-yard dash this season was 0.10 seconds slower than Saquon's 2018 40-yard dash. So I think Saquon was 4.4, and
he's a 4.49, so yeah, 0.1 right behind him.
Yeah, and he ran for over 4,500 yards at Woodland Hills High School. I think he might hold a record somewhere around there. One thing that when I saw his film is just that he slides off of groups of people, like whether it's people blocking for him or it's defenders. He seems to just slide right off of them and just like run past them, and I think that's pretty special and what needs to be taken note of. So yeah, he's excellent when it comes to bouncing off of defenders and making tackles. Elite in cutting and shifting. He makes good decisions on whether to run inside or bounce out. 47 missed tackles forced last year, so that was the most among eligible Big Ten running backs. Yeah, I just really like the way that he runs as a running back. And but the one thing that I was listening to a podcast yesterday that had Matt Waldman on, and he said that Sanders fumbles. He's fumbled once every 34 to 35 touches, I believe. And that's not good. No,
yeah, if he can work on that, well, he'll probably learn that in training camp. Hopefully, to hold on to the ball more and focus on that. I feel like fumbling's a problem that you can fix more than like a trait like such as vision, where it's hard to teach vision and stuff like that. So he has the instinct. So hopefully, if they work on that, because ball security is very, very big for running backs. Because you've seen Belichick and other coaches, one fumble, here's
Absolutely.
on the bench.
Exactly. Like if you get put on the wrong team on a coach that doesn't tolerate that kind of stuff, oh my gosh, it's over.
Yeah, and if he does go to the Buccaneers with Bruce Arians, you saw what he did with David Johnson his rookie year. And you said it reminds you of David Johnson. On player profile, it says like the best comparables Felix Jones. So I'd say a little bit slower and a little less burst and all of that than David Johnson and Saquon, but he's right below him. So I feel like
I don't think he needs a strong offensive line to be successful. I think he could weave his way around. Just like I said, he slides off of groups of people. So and if he could go over there, I'm not sure what his what his receiving numbers kind of look like. But man, that would be pretty amazing to see him on the Bucks.
Yeah, we'll see where he lands up. And then the last running back we want to talk about before I give a bonus one and Ahmad gives a bonus one, and that's Rodney Anderson out of Oklahoma. And I was looking at some film because he's been injured and stuff. If there was no health concerns on this guy, he's the running back one in his class, I think, without say. He's 6 foot, he's 224, it's perfect size. He's got receiving skills, 1,161 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns in 17. He's a 6.4 yards per carry average. He's a versatile runner. He has vision. He has contact balance. The pass protection remains a concern, and also like the incomplete combine numbers because he was hurt. But if he gets his injuries problems fixed, then watch out for this guy. He's been rising up my rookie ranks a little bit as like if he's in the second round, I'll take him depending on landing spot because injuries is what's knocking down his draft cost. So he could be a steal.
That's the only thing I don't like about him is durability concerns because the last three seasons he's had season-ending injuries 3 out of the last 4 years. So that's a big concern.
I mean, I'm on the same page with Paul. I mean, I would love to see him be successful in the NFL. I got to take a look at more of his film, but I mean, from what I've read, he's had a total of injury situations: leg, neck, and knee.
Yeah.
And, oh man.
Yeah.
So broke his leg as a true freshman in 2015, and he only had 1 carry for 5 yards before that. In 2007, the numbers in 2017 those were great. But he had another season-ending injury in 2018 against UCLA. And I think after his last injury, he decided not to return. So, but
I mean, he's got good numbers, but like we said, them 3 season-ending injuries. I'd rather take a shot on Josh Jacobs, who has little wear and tear, over a guy who's had 3 season-ending ending injuries.
That's off of me, but for him not to return back to college and say, I'm just going to pursue NFL, that's kind of a smart decision. So he probably has a lot of time to recover lately.
Yeah. And your best trait is your availability. So we'll see where he's at and what team he lands on, and updates on his health. And Ahmad, who's your one running back you want to talk about? The bonus running back that you said.
Okay. Well, I just my bonus running back is Travion Williams from Texas A&M. But before I go ahead and dive into him, I just want to give a shout out to Benny Snell. I had him on my fantasy team last year, and it was really enjoyable. He's also in the draft, so some people say that he's just might be too small or not going to be successful in the NFL, but he seems like he has what it takes to do good. So keep that name in mind too, Benny Snell. I think he played for Kentucky, I believe. I don't know off the top of my head. But Travion Williams, Texas A&M, I had him on my fantasy team last year too, and he was great. Workhorse back, 600 career rushing attempts in 3 years, at least 15 carries in 21 out of 38 games that he played in his career. Last year, he had 1,760 rushing yards and 18 rushing touchdowns. So last year also, he was 19th in yards per carry last year with 6.49 yards per carry. So he was in the top 20. And if you look at a lot of the prospects and stuff like that, they're not up there. Like Darrell Henderson is number 1 in yards per carry. Kyler Murray is like 8. And then you got Travion Williams at 19. But besides everyone else, like you will see them under the top 20. He's pretty decent in the passing game. He averaged around 20 to 25 catches per season in his career. So in his first game last season against Northwestern, he went for 240 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns on only 20 carries. That's 12 yards per carry. 240 yards, rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns to start the season off. He had 3 200-plus yard rushing games and a game where he rushed for 198 yards. So he had about basically 4 200 rushing yard games. And 3 of those 200 rushing yard games went for 228 yards, 236, and 240 yards. Let's see. I got a couple more things on him. 7 rushing touchdowns in those 3 games that he went for 200 yards total. And then he has about 9 games with at least 100 rushing yards in 2018, and I think he broke the rushing record last year for Texas A&M. Yeah, so that's my guy.
Yeah, I was looking into him, and I saw someone on Twitter. I forget who it was, but he compared Miles Sanders and Travion Williams. Right? I think that's how you say it. Like,
Travion, and a lot of the experts and analysts like they're kind of like split between them. Like a majority of them don't really have him in the top 5, 10, and then there's some that say that he should be in the top 5 running back. Some people even say he's number 1, but I mean he's a workhorse back, and I think that with the right offensive line, I wanted him to go to the Eagles, but I did Jordan Howard just go there?
yeah,
Yeah, so I have no idea what's happening now. But
we'll see where he
Nobody
lands.
does.
Yeah.
he's been in contact with I think the Texans, the Eagles, and then another team, I believe. So we'll see what
We'll
happens.
see what happens. But yeah, the one thing I was gonna say, I think he has better vision, and you can't really like measure vision and whatnot, but you can kind of see it. And there's like 2 similar plays, and one of them, Miles Sanders read it wrong, I guess you could say, or like still got like a 20-yard game, but Travion Williams just read it correctly, went off the back heel of the center and went the opposite way and just gone. So like the vision that Travion Williams has, I think is better than Miles Sanders. And I think I'm putting him when I do my rankings in top 5 for running backs for sure. But you're right, people are very split on him. So, and then one bonus guy I got is Justice Hill out of Oklahoma State. He had a 4.440.
Just stole my guy.
I stole your guy. Well, yeah, the same guy.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just say a couple of things, and then you can say
Go
the
ahead.
rest. Well, you go first. I'll say what the other stuff. What do you got to say with Justin Hill?
I really like him in a draft. I mean, he could be the top speed back in this draft. He's a natural runner. He's very talented. I don't think Oklahoma State used him as much as they should have, but he definitely has first step quickness and has great burst to get to through the defensive line into the second level of defense. And he's also a nice outlet receiver who can catch the ball.
Yeah, Justin, remember how I sent you that podcast link? I think it was earlier today or last night.
Yeah.
The Fantasy Pros one. So they were discussing rookie running backs, future rookie running backs as well. And Mike Tagliere, he mentioned Justice Hill. He said he was because they were like, oh yeah, what's one running back that we forgot to mention that you would like to shout out? And he said Justice Hill. They said that he's got that first, so I got to listen to him.
Yeah, I didn't get that far in the podcast, then I missed out on that, but I listened to some of that. And yeah, one thing I saw, 95th percentile burst score and 1,142 rushing yards as a true freshman. But this guy is only 198 pounds and 5'10", so he's really undersized, but I think he's like the perfect satellite back in the NFL. And he gets on a team, he can be a great third-down pass catcher, and he's like Reggie Bush, basically. It's a comparable on profile, and I can see that for sure. So the vision's kind of there, but he can be a great pass catching back in the NFL and a deep sleeper in PPR leagues and PPR dynasty leagues. So keep an eye out for him in his landing spot.
Yeah, I love his speed. He seems to have that flat foot speed like Tevin Coleman when you look at his film. Yeah, he looks like a sleeper.
Yeah, could be. So yeah, that's gonna do it for our QBs and running backs and whatnot. That was a good little something before the draft gets going. I'll have Ahmad's Twitter linked in the description below. If you guys are new and made it this far, please subscribe. It helps us out and doesn't really hurt you at all. And we're doing about 1 episode a week now in the off season. And once it gets into like June, we'll start going maybe 2. Well, depending on how it goes. But next week we're gonna have Ahmad back on. We're gonna do wide receivers and tight ends. We're not gonna go that much in depth to the tight ends though. But
I love wide receivers and shout out to Jimmy Graham, Paul.
What
I know.
do you gotta say about Jimmy Graham, Dad?
He was a big disappointment for me this year. I still love him. I still love Jimmy Graham, but he let me down.
We can maybe find a good complimentary piece for him and one of the rookie wide receivers. I think I got one in mind.
Okay, awesome.
Got one for you. Yeah, no. Your Jimmy Graham take was bad. And my Chris Hogan take, we're not going to talk about Chris Hogan ever again. So,
and I took Le'Veon Bell as my first pick in our subscriber league draft. That killed me.
Oh, the memories.
I wish I did a better service to the podcast out there, but I finished last.
I got second. Okay, injuries hurt, but hey.
Well, they always hurt.
Yeah, if you guys, got some
stuff. Yeah, if you guys,
we'll do better. We'll do better this year.
Yeah, we'll try to do better this year. I don't know.
Hopefully, I got a spot in there still.
Let's see where it is. I'm looking at it. I think we're keeping Tyler Stomp. He's going to join us this year, and then we'll see. I'll work on some things.
I know more people definitely want to join. It's a fun
We'll
list.
see. If we stay as a small podcast, I got you in for sure. If the viewer listener drive goes up, then we'll see. But
Well, hey,
Oh, you guys
he's
are expanding, man. You guys are expanding for sure.
he is one of our top listeners out there, and he does comment a lot, so he's going to get a lot of votes into that draft. So he could get back in it this year.
Yeah, I know. I just want to give everyone else a chance.
Absolutely.
yeah, but thanks for coming on, Ahmad. If you
Yeah,
guys want
thank
again,
you,
his
Ahmad.
Twitter will link in the description below. And yeah, that's gonna do it for today's podcast.
Send some of that warm weather up here to New York, will you?
I'm here right now. Just sending it over.
All right.